understandably created a firestorm of controversy within the black community. And we have assembled a distinguished group to debate its premise and its message. Basically, that the black woman is responsible for most of what ails the black community. Now, before we get into what promises to be a passionate debate, I'd like to introduce you to Debbie Mitchell, the co-producer of this program. Debbie, I want to start, I know it's unusual, but I want to start with two questions to you, the producer of the program. First of all, what do you think about the basic premise of the book that the black woman is responsible for most of what ails the black community?
First of all, black men and black women know that the black community is under strain right now. And for Shahrazad, a black woman, to basically attack black women, I think that she's putting blame, it seems like she's putting blame on them for the state of the situation.
Are you frightened by this book? I mean, are people reading it?
Yeah, people are reading it. It's specifically the younger black males. I see a lot of them on the trains when I'm coming into work. Their heads are glued to the book, and it's scary.
Okay, our program today will examine Shahrazad Ali's controversial solutions to these very severe social problems and try just as importantly to determine what black men really want from women. That is the focus of this edition of Geraldo. I think it's fair to say from our research that some people actually believe that this book will save black culture in the United States and help heal the rift between black men and women. Many others, I think it's also fair to say, think that it's potentially dangerous and harmful, especially to black women. Now, Shahrazad Ali is the author of one of the most talked about books in the community in recent history. And before we open our discussion up to debate, I want to begin, Shahrazad, just with you telling me why you wrote the book.
Well, I wrote it because we are the missing link in our communities.
We, black women.
This is the only information the black man has not had. And we certainly represent the only group here in America who have never been examined for the root causes of our behavior. The white man has been examined, the white woman, and the black man, certainly. Now, first, let me say, Geraldo, that my position is that the black woman's disrespect and rebellion against the leadership and the authority of the black man is a direct cause of the breakdown in our family structure. I am not saying, wait a minute.
Okay.
Because this, as we know, will go to hell in a minute. Let me first tell you what I'm saying. Okay.
Some chuckles from the audience.
But, you know, certainly the message has been misunderstood and sensationalized by the media, as we saw on the introduction of this show. What we have is a situation where we as black women have never been examined. We have never accepted our share of the responsibility for the condition of our black community. I am not saying that we are 100% responsible. I'm saying that the black man is 50% responsible and we are 50% responsible.
You know, I don't want this to be... If we lose half our time waiting for the applause to cease when someone makes a pro or con statement, we're going to use up half the show.
So what I'm saying
But let me just say that I read the book, and I don't read it that way. I read the book, and I think that when you have... It is impossible to sensationalize a book that uses quotes like, the black woman is a rat who behaves like a dog while purring like a cat.
What is your nationality?
I'm Puerto Rican, as the world knows.
Okay, well, I didn't write it for the Puerto Rican man. I wrote it for the black man. So, that's what I'm trying to demonstrate, that we have a very special man, and he has a set of very special needs, just like we have. We need to stop claiming that we are all the same. We're not all the same. We have the problems that come from the psychological trauma that we suffered in slavery that we have not revived from yet. And so we have to address that. And we can no longer pretend that it's the white man's fault, or that it's your fault, or anybody else's. I'm just saying, let's go into our homes and let's look at ourselves. The only civilizations where we have ever been successful, and the black man didn't have a problem supporting us, being in charge of our homes and raising our children until he was brought to this country and turned into a slave, and he lost his position in our home.
Is it fair to say, Shahrazad, Ms. Ali, whichever you prefer, that you propose that the black man should be the superior figure in the family and the woman subordinate to the man?
He is. We have just devalued the importance of his presence in our home.
And you understand while stating that flies directly in the face of all the women's movement, black and white and red and brown and yellow, has accomplished in 2 decades.
We haven't, as black women, we talk about our political accomplishments, but politics means policy. And the only place we can implement any permanent policy is in our homes.
May I ask you a more pragmatic question? Debbie Mitchell, our co-producer, indicates that on the subway to work, she sees young black men with their heads in the book reading it. It appears as if your self-published book is being widely read. Do you have any idea of how many books are out there and being read?
Well, let's just say if it was a record, it would be platinum.
Let me introduce our other guests, some of whom share Ms. Ali's points of view, others dramatically and profoundly disagree. Sitting next to her is Salathiel Luster. He is the vice president of a group called BOND. That stands for the Brotherhood Organization of the New Destiny. It is a support group for men who believe that problems in the black community do indeed stem from black women's superior role in the family. Ariola Sinclair is a writer for the New York Amsterdam News, the most important publication, I think it's fair to say, in the African-American community, at least in this town. She has written extensively about her own personal and the public's reaction to this book. She claims the book may serve to further alienate black women from black men. Clayfell Benjamin is an award-winning journalist and a former history professor at the University of Massachusetts. He says that Ali's guide for black men is lacking in intellect and scholastic information. There are many, many others who join us in the front row. I'm going to save their introductions for a couple of minutes. Let me just ask Salathiel, if, sir, you believe that it is appropriate to enforce discipline in the black family for a black man to hit a black woman.
Okay. I believe, as everyone here, when a child, someone you love, is out of hand or in a state of hysteria, that you can use reprimandation, that you can spank the child to awaken them, not to put them to sleep, and that also, please let me finish my point, and also that it must be done in a state of non-anger. It must be done from a point of self-control. It must be done from observing that this is necessary for the well-being of the human being.
She doesn't say spanking, sir. She says smacking in the mouth very specifically.
Have you ever seen a person in hysteria? Have you ever seen a person that has in such a psychotic state that it takes a strike to bring them to reality? The pain is actually an awakening process.
Quote, if she ignores the authority and superiority of the black man, there is a penalty. When she crosses this line and becomes viciously insulting, it is time for the black man to soundly slap her in the mouth.
I need to respond.
Go ahead,
Brother, I got it. Okay. Now, I think we are all here because I have tried to deliver a message to my people to help us with this healing process. Certainly, it's a very sensitive issue and one that all of us are affected by. We cannot deny that the black man is beating us. He's killing us. He's murdering us. He's stabbing us. He's doing horrible things to us every day that we live. Domestic violence in the black community is at an all-time high. I'm trying to put some direction and restriction upon a situation. Now, initially, I thought that black women were opposing to that one sentence out of that 204-page book because they were actually outraged. But I think it's a smokescreen, brother, and I think they're trying to make the sum total of the message in my book land on that one 5-word sentence.
Before I get to Abiola and Clayfell, let me jump right to Dr. Napoleon Vaughn, who is a practicing psychologist who thinks that the ideas expressed in this book are not only inaccurate but possibly dangerous. Now, we have heard Ms. Ali, Dr. Vaughn, say that this one statement is being taken out of context. You, I believe, sir, feel it might lead to increased violence in the family. Is that not correct?
I had a patient come to me not too long ago with book in tow, a 32-year-old virgin male who had just broken up with his wife, and what he did was punch her out. This is how he thought that he should make love to her and that he should demand whatever she does. The other thing about this that disturbs me tremendously is the fact that of another patient of mine, a female, whose husband said to her, "You do what I tell you to do," and she decided, well, you're my husband, not my father, and she decided that she was going to go visit her mother. She took the baby in the carriage and started off to visit her mother. Before she knew it, she was falling down. She had taken the baby, so she continued to walk, and before she knew it again, he was on her with a brick in his hand against her head. And she decided, well, you're my husband, not my father, and she decided that she was going to go visit her mother. She took the baby in the carriage and started off to visit her mother. Before she knew it, she was falling down. She had taken the baby, so she continued to walk, and before she knew it again, he was on her with a brick in his hand against her head, until somebody of the neighbors came along and yanked her off. What I'm seeing is a tremendous amount of this from a psychologist's point of view, and if I see someone who's in a category like this, you talk about trauma, this is the clear essence of trauma, which is tantamount to psychosis, and this in essence is a game.
What the premise of the book is a game.
That's it. It's entirely a game.
What?
All right. Now, wait, there's a person in the audience who seems upset with what he said. What?
Excuse me. Yeah, let me tell you something. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for writing the book, and you're a very beautiful woman. Yeah, I got to say that, number one. Number two, just like the sister said, I got the book. I have the book, all right? First of all, she said she's not blaming all black women, because you got just as much bad black women like you have bad black men. Right. The point is this. That is, it's just a lot of black, not all, but a lot of y'all sisters, black sisters, you labor under the misconception that you walk around with halo and wings 24/7. That's why she wrote the book.
Abiola Sinclair from the Amsterdam News, your response?
Well, first of all, let me say this. Let me qualify myself. There is some truth to the book. Excuse me. I will say there is some truth. I recognize some of myself, and I recognize some people that I know. I disagree with the premise of the book, I disagree with the agenda of the book, and I disagree with the overall inclination of the book to undermine the black woman, to rob her of her self-confidence, to excessively blame her for societal problems that are not of her control. The black woman has, at very least, carried this race. For several generations, and if she's stumbling and if she's falling now, it's because she's tired. And yes, she does need some help, but she needs the type of positive help and not no one to put their foot on her neck or on her head and tell them that he's a god and he's her ruler and he's her master and she must do as he says.
Shahrazad?
One of the reasons it's possible. One of the reasons it's possible for us to always fall back on that we are the so-called backbone of the black nation is because we have been provided with more benefits in this society than the black man. And so as a result of us being provided with those benefits and being set up to make it appear as if we are carrying our nation on, it's incorrect. There's not any doubt in any other nationality that the backbone of their nation is the men of their nation, except in the black community.
There is, however, Shahrazad, it seems to me on my reading of the book, and I'm going to direct this again to Ariola just before I get to Playfell, there seems almost an insulting tone specifically directed against, or one of the many controversial passages, women like yourself who have their hair stylized in braids or so-called cornrows, or who wear traditional garb. It goes so far as to say that that is an excuse for not showering and shampooing. It's bad sanitation. I have never in my life seen anything like that, absent, I must say, writings from the KKK or some white racists.
May I say something?
How do you read it, Ariola, and then I'll let Shahrazad respond.
Well, that's what ticked me off when I was reading the book. I was saying, no, okay. Till I got to that point. Then I said, what? Because I wash my feet and I oil them and I wash my hair and I'm very particular about how I look and how I smell. And most of the Afrocentric sisters that I know are fashion plates. What we're trying to do is to set up a new aesthetic. What we're trying to do is say that some of us, when you put us in Western clothes, we look almost ugly. Now, I don't want to use that word because there's no ugly person, but we don't look like ourselves. When we wear our African attire, it tends to accent other things and makes us look much more acceptable and much more beautiful. Not just women, men also, I feel. So that's my point, and I took exception with that.
I have to take our first break. As you know, we have to have commercials in this program. Then Shahrazad responds, and then Playthel will bring you into the game. 2 minutes, we'll be right back. Is it possible, Shahrazad, that you have made certain passages intentionally inflammatory to make a point?
Well, absolutely not. Certainly, a lot of the truth of any people is very painful. As I said, this is in response to what Sister was saying. This is not the kind of book you need to rush home and try to read all in one night. You get overwhelmed. Read a little bit, put it down, and go back and try to read some more. The book is clearly our collective contribution as black women of everything we have learned from our slave history that impacts negatively on the relationships with our men. It's just everything that we do.
Was it necessary to make that point about sanitation and odor?
Well, let's go with the thing. The issue about the dreadlocks, which is what you're referring to, I'm sure, it started out certainly as being a very powerful point that a lot of women made. But that's just merely a medical fact. I studied the dreadlock under the microscope and found that no matter how much you washed it, it had parasites and mites in it. And the people's hair would come out and everything else. Now, if anybody want to do that, go check it.
Playthel, do you want to try to deal with that?
Yeah. Listen,
Quiet, please.
First of all, let me say, Geraldo, I get invited to these kind of shows all the time because I write a lot of controversial stuff. But I assiduously avoid these kind of programs for the simple reason that there's not really enough time in here to have any kind of measured discussion that I like to have. But nevertheless, the reason I came on here is because I have seen Miss Ali on several other programs. And I have her on tape, and I've watched them over and over again. I have read the book. And I would just like to say something from I'd like to speak from two perspectives. Miss Ali, from everything I have heard from her, wrote this book based upon her experiences and her conversations. As a scholar, when I look at this book, it has none of the attributes that we look for in a scholarly work. There's no scholarship and no what I can see as nothing of serious intellectual lasting value here. You understand? And I have two beautiful, smart daughters whom, if any man uses this book, hold on a minute. If any man uses the prescriptions in this book, it is a prescription for disaster. I will tell my daughters, if anybody ever smacked them in the mouth, come tell Daddy. I'll deal with it. See? I'll deal with it.
I certainly agree with that last sentence.
That's where I'm at.
There are two things we need to realize here. One of them is that we have a problem with behavior definition and interpretation. We look in the mirror and see ourselves as one way, and the black man looks at us and sees what's in my book. Now, the other thing is that our so-called educated class has failed us.
Yes, they have.
All right? Now, they have failed us because in all of their so-called scholarly studies and journals, none of them as a group have ever come up with something to put the agenda like this book
Identify yourself and tell us why you agree.
Yeah, my name is Saeed Saladin, and I agree with that 100%. And one of the things I would like to say is the reason why so many young people are reading that book, and a lot of y'all are reading the book, is because it's not scholarly, it's right to the point. Now, I would like to also say, as it relates to violence, okay, my wife, ex-wife, was the first one to slap the living Star Wars out of me. All right? I'm laying down on the couch, and she slapped them Star Wars out of me. Now, she may have had a reason. Now, how was I to respond? How was I to respond? Should I respond the way I do another brother if he slapped me in my face? Should I use the closed fist, or should I have smacked her? Because I'm going to do something.
What'd you do?
The point that I'm not going to say. But the point, hold on, I'll say one thing. I walked around my house for about 1 hour. You know, but I would like to also say, this is one
All right,
thing.
let me just say that if I smacked my wife, my bed would be burning.
All right, I agree. Hurry up. One last principle. There's an old ancient feminist principle from the great mother principle, and they said that there was only two people in this world, a mother and her children. Now, if that is true, and one of the children is out of order, who do you blame? And I think it's an honor if I was a woman and all the blame was coming at me, as some of y'all say. I would take it as an honor because it shows my responsibility. Like if a building, not for
Don't you think it's a bit of a cop-out that he doesn't tell us what he did after the war hit him? Give it 2 minutes, we'll be right back. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is this inflammatory? Is this to the point?
I agree. I think it's to the point.
And you are?
I don't agree with everything in there. I'm J.R. Long. I don't agree with everything in there. And I think it's upsetting for me to see points being taken out of perspective. The point regarding hitting in the mouth, it's an optional point. It's one of 6. Now, it's one of 6 avenues that the black man can do when he's upset with his woman. So you can't just take that point.
Identify yourself and tell me if you believe it's an option that's viable.
Elsie Washington, senior writer at Essence Magazine. No one has the option to hit me in the mouth or anything else. May I say...
suggesting that someone has an option to hit you in the mouth,
but not even a right, not even anything. No one at all.
It was one of 6 points that the black man could take in his address. Now, that doesn't mean that he has to take it, but
I'd like to say
the doc cited a point that there is this progression of black women.
I'd like to say, black men, my brothers, do not buy this book and think that you're going to use this as a blueprint for healing our nation. Talk to us. Don't read this book.
Black men are not doing that. I think most of the problem is that most of the sisters has not read the book.
Yeah, I think many have.
Yes.
I think many have.
My name is
It's
Seito
misguided.
Rande, and I like to say thank you for writing the book. And with my encounters, experiences with women, I have not found most of what you have depicted, but I don't pre-conclude that it does not exist. And what I would like to say to you is that we are all victims of white supremacy in some shape, form, or fashion. And somehow, as we move toward the 21st century, dealing with conspiracies of AIDS and all the types of devices that are out there, we have to have a forum where we come together and talk out our differences. And we're not going to be able to solve this in this 1 hour.
I believe that Shahrazad Ali specifically, if not exculpate, says enough of blaming whites. Let's deal with the problem ourselves. And I think in that sense... Wait, stand up and tell me, and identify yourself and tell me why you agree.
Excuse me. My name's Calvin Gooding. I listen all the time about people talking about white folks have done this to us. This is what we do continually when we talk about what white folks have done to us. We empower them to continue to control our situation. What we have to cease doing is empowering them and saying, we will have self-determination. That is, in any forum. And let me say this, I don't agree with everything you have to say, but if your intention was to create a forum where we could talk about our differences, I salute you. Okay? All right.
Yes, my name is Gloria Doolin Wilson, and I'm the statewide coordinator for the New York State African American Political Action Committee. I would like to say, first of all, black men and black women have to be complementary to each other. There cannot be this kind of antagonism that you've engendered as a result of your book. I have to compliment your publicist for getting this out here.
I'm my
because
publicist.
It's the biggest, no, publicist.
I'm my publicist.
Well, then congratulations, my dear, because you have perpetrated a wonderful hoax, but you have gotten us to talk. Educate your mind and deal with black familyhood, can get the book by Hakeem Madhubuti. Black men, utterly single and dangerous, and read it and apply it. This woman has no solution. She has no solution, but she has antagonism, and that's why we're here.
Go.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Osei. I think one of the problems that's not being dealt with is a lot of personal venting, all right? That when we understand relationships grow out of families. The structure of the black family has changed, all right? One of the positive things about the book, if there are any positive things, is that the book opened up a forum. Because you have to understand, too, how can someone write a book, self-published, is not promoted by any or major publishing company in New York, right? And made such a social impact that the educated class has not been able to do.
Abiola, tell us how she has managed to do it. How has she managed to make this a platinum bestseller on her own?
Well, it's when she attacks the least able to defend themselves, that is the black woman. When she attacks the bottom rung of the bottom rung of society and labels them as the scourge of humanity, of course that's going to cause a controversy. And any controversy is food for the media. As a media critic, I'm very much aware that anything that creates a stir, a flurry, a controversy is food for the media.
But Playfell, there are other controversies out there created.
It can be explained simply by the same explanation as to why soap operas are more popular than Shakespeare. Now, let me just say one other thing about books, okay? And what the explanation for that is that it doesn't require much intellectual engagement to watch a soap opera. But to watch Shakespeare, you've got to bring something to it. You've got to be reasonably literate. Now,
this is a soap opera.
About books, let me just say this. She made the comment earlier that this is the first book that's dealt with the experience of black women in America. That comment, hold on a minute, that comment in and of itself shows an astonishing ignorance of the literature on black studies in this country. For instance, if you all want to read a real book that will teach you something about the heroism, the greatness, the true role of black women, read Paula Giddings' book, Where and When I Entered. Read Margaret Walker, read Dr. Margaret Walker, who for 30 years, listen, read, if you want to see,
You should also remember that we have never had a book that all of the people agree with, the Bible, the Torah, the Quran. You take what you can use and you reject the rest. But this book talks about our collective contribution. Do not forget that. This is not all of us, but this is all of us sometime on some level.
Okay.
There's no point in going into denial.
Stand, please identify yourself.
My name is Jesse Peterson, and I am the founder and director of Bond. First, I want to say to your producer, if you are afraid of the black men reading this book, it's because you're afraid of losing your position.
Give her a chance to respond.
I know what happened.
Give her a chance to respond, please.
I don't agree with you at all.
What it is, the black woman is in the wrong position. The black man has to come back to the head of the family.
Why should have been dealing with it?
We're not taking anything away from you.
What we're doing is, at Bond, we're understanding that because of that wrong position, the black woman is not able to handle that position. And that's why she's out of order. That's why she's so crazy.
Yes. My name is Queen Esther, and I'm from the Heal Thyself in Brooklyn, about healing the nation. Right now, we're in an emergency. We don't have time to fight with our family. We have to build a nation, love each other, and start building. We don't have time for hitting our family. We have to come to one unity right now. All we have time to do is love and build in the truth. We're in an emergency.
Let me run over here. Sorry.
All right. First of all, the black woman must realize that as the black nation, we were the first people on the planet and the first people to establish family life and our roles in the family structure. What we live today is totally alien to what we originally established as our roles.
Is your point that the man has to be on top, the woman on bottom?
Well, I heard women say that they can raise a family alone. If you can raise a family, if a woman can raise a family alone, then she has had the opportunity and has the opportunity today to correct the problem of the man and her male children. But she has been unsuccessful and will continue to be unsuccessful until she gets the problem in her mind.
Stand please. Over here. Identify yourself. Hurry.
My name is Dr. LaFrancis Rogers Rose, and I teach African American Studies, and I've been teaching a course on the black family for the last 15 years. And I would like the author to know that I have a book on strategies for resolving conflict in black male-female relationships that's been out since 1985. One of the things that I think is a problem is that we have to be analytical about what we do, and we have to be value-free about what we do. One of the problems with the book, with your book, is that there's a lot of sweeping generalizations, a lot of stereotypes. And stereotypes are half-truths. And half-truths is what has put us in the position that we're in now about our relationships.
Hold it right there. I'm going to go to Shahrazad.
Just one slight
I have to get a response. Shahrazad, is it not true that your book does indeed contain what the previous speaker characterized as sweeping stereotypes?
No, I don't think so. Absolutely. See, we're talking about a condition. We are talking about a condition of our people where we have been programmed with the wrong ideas, so all of us are doing many of the same things. And we're talking about a situation where our man has been judged on the wrong standards.
Okay. Okay, go.
You're asking the wrong people about this.
That's
the
right.
people to ask are not employed. They're in the armory. You need to ask the masses of black men who are unemployed in Bedford Avenue Armory in 120.
Your point being?
Our point being that the black man pardon me? The black man is in the armory. He is unemployed. You are an exception to the rule about this book. He is the criteria of judgment, not you.
Stand up, please. Excuse me.
My name is Yanla Van Zandt, and I am a Yoruba priestess and a cultural custodian. This is not our culture. This book is anti-cultural, anti-African, and anti-historical. Wait a minute. Because our ancestors have said that our key to our growth is love. This book contains no love. It doesn't encourage love. It doesn't support love. And it dismisses the most loving force on this earth, the African woman.
Take a break. We'll be right back. What's this controversial book being examined?
Thank you. I'd like to thank Ms. Ali for writing this great book, and I also like to say that the black...
What's great about it?
The greatness of it is it exposes the feeling of the black man, and ironically, it was written by a woman. And I also like to say that it's like the black woman is stepping on our bunion, and because we say our feet hurt, she's running around talking about, no, your feet don't hurt. I'm telling you that this is how the black man and the majority of the real black man feel, and God
Hold
bless
it,
you.
hold it, hold it. Do you really believe that black women are responsible for the condition of black men?
I feel the first person that ever slapped me in my face was my mother.
But is that different in any other culture?
No, well, see, I don't know about other cultures, Geraldo, with all due respect, but all I'm saying is that this is how we feel, and this is exactly the pain that we feel. It's not that we won't love the black woman. We just want them to know that this is how we feel, and it's not about we're going to alienate ourselves.
Do you date white women?
I have dated white women. I've dated white women. I've dated all sorts of women. Listen, I have dated all, but see, what black women don't realize is sometimes we're actually forced to date other women because of that situation.
I'd like to, as the only woman here, say thank you, Shahrazad Ali, for writing this book. I'd also like to ask this audience to please calm down. Let's have some dignity. White America is watching. I'd also like to say this. Shahrazad Ali turned around and said that if the woman's out of this gaping hole comes all of this stuff, well, Orientals say the ruination of man comes from his mouth and wisdom comes from his heart. Only Shahrazad said it in a colloquial way for black men to understand. Thank you for being the catalyst that we need.
I got a question for you. Quote from the book. Quote from the book. To the black man, the black woman's problems represent a challenge and a responsibility. The challenge is to subdue her and put her in her rightful place. End quote the book. You agree with that statement?
Not only do I understand the context. Wait a minute. Let me finish. Not only do I'm going to tell you, I'm not afraid of any of y'all. Not only do I understand the premise, the question, I agree. But you have to understand the relationships between us.
Would you like your man to hit you in that hole?
I would never put him in the position to hit me.
When we first started the show, Miss Ali said that the black woman had benefits that the black man hadn't had. I want to know what those benefits are.
I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. Wait, I'm going to ask a question. I didn't hear the question.
What were the benefits? What were the so-called benefits the black woman has had that the black man has not?
The black woman's fault that the black man cannot get a job.
Well, let me explain.
Quiet, please.
Let me
Go ahead, Shahrazad.
Okay,
Quiet,
first
please.
of all.
Quiet, please. Quiet.
Okay. No, you can't say nothing.
Please. Quiet, please. Quiet, please.
I want to answer the question. However, if we look at the situation of just what this book has done for literacy in the black community, the other thing is that if in any relationship when there's a breakdown, it's the responsibility of the man and the woman. So if you black women say you are not 50% responsible, what percentage do you accept and how does that behavior manifest?
Can I take a break?
Okay, listen. See, that's some confusion. God didn't make the white man, the white woman, the black woman, and then the black man. He made the black man first, and all of the other nationalities came from him. So that's impossible, brother. What you talking about, the mother world and all of the mother God and all of that? That's no such thing. Get out of here with that.
This book is very true. And black people know that this book is true, but what it is,
young black man
we are embarrassed by it. And we need to go beyond the embarrassment of it to deal with it.
Yes, sir. I want to represent a young black male in America that read the book. The book seems to be positive to me because it gives me a look into building a relationship with a female that'll help. Yeah. It gives a peep into some of the things that her mother has taught her that I'm not around. some things I can see are negative in her makeup.
I want to thank you for writing the book, and I would say that most of the people who are opposed to this book have not read it. If you read it and you understand us, if you understand our history, where we came from, and where we have to go, then you appreciate this book.
Stand. Go, stand. Hurry.
Sister Ali, you said that
Go, quick.
You said that the black woman's intelligence is smaller, or her mind is smaller than the black man's, but yet you are a black woman and you're writing a book telling them about themselves and telling us about ourselves.
It's all right. I'm a black woman. Well, wait a minute. Let me respond. What we have is a situation where I'm not working for me. I'm building all of these black people's career. If it wasn't for my book, wouldn't nobody know who none of these people were.
Comments, and I want to go back to Shahrazad for the final statement. Go, quick.
Yeah, I've read the book, and I think the book is 1,000% correct. I want to thank Sister Shahrazad.
Yeah, quick.
I think the book is totally incorrect. I think the book is just a manifestation of black men who need to take the place of the oppressor and trying to...
You disagree.
I totally disagree, because the idea of oppressing other people is not...
Salathiel, quick. Don't you think that this book should have been written by a black man if these statements were going to be made? Quick.
I believe that the point of view is from the black man's point of view. You understand what I'm saying? That love,
Hurry, sir.
that love comes through the black man into the family.
The last 10 seconds, Shahrazad.
Women, they're the ones. Don't take them off.
A job, excuse me, brother.
Shahrazad, quick.
A job is not the solution to the problem of the black man and black woman in America. A job is not the solution. We have relegated our man to be totally responsible for finance.
Sorry, we're out of time. We could have spoken all day. Thank you all for being here. The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman, written by Shahrazad Ali. A man has his cheating wife arrested on adultery charges. A woman is